For a long time, the Pantheon Rise of the Fallen developers have struggled to find an effective way to demonstrate to audiences exactly what makes their game interesting when compared to the many MMOs that have flooded the industry over the years. This has partly been because some of the key systems in Pantheon were just not fully developed yet, but also because MMOs for the most part are long-form experiences, meant to be enjoyed by establishing yourself in a virtual world over months and years. So it can be hard for prospective backers to fully grasp what that actually feels like just by watching a video that lasts an hour or so. MMOs are typically meant to be played more than watched. But recently, Visionary Realms claims to have found a solution to that, and they once again teamed up with CohhCarnage on Twitch to showcase an all-new introductory story that they've designed to, quote, demonstrate Pantheon's major features in a fully playable experience, end quote. What exactly does that mean? Well, let's take a look. If you want to stay up to date with Pantheon's development, hit the subscribe button now because that's exactly what this channel is dedicated to. I'm not a developer on the game, I've just been following it for a long time now, so I like to take what I learn and condense it down just to make it easier for you to track the project as well. This most recent stream with CohhCarnage was about 2 hours long, which is great, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to hit the high points in this video of some of the things that are worth noting. Because this stream showed off pretty much a little bit of everything, some of which has been seen in past streams, but also a lot of systems that are brand new. Regardless, the key here is that everything is now all in one place and working. I think it's important to note right off the bat that while this feels very much like a tutorial, and it is in some ways, this is a tutorial that is specifically tailored not for new players on launch day, but instead for potential investors or publishing partners. Because Visionary Realms said that starting this month, they are going to be pitching the game more frequently to prospective backers in hopes of securing funding that can be used to speed up development. Although this demo also conveniently doubles as a way to truly showcase what Pantheon is to the general public, like the audience on Cohh's Twitch channel, who have maybe never seen the game before, and that's important because Pantheon is also partially a crowd-funded game. In this adventure, Cohh started off as a level 20 human rogue, and when the devs said that this stream would demonstrate Pantheon's major features in a fully playable experience, this includes perception, mastery, stealth, climbing, acclimation, crafting and harvesting, dispositions, and atmospheres. So I'm just going to go through them one by one in the order that they were shown in this stream. The first is perception. And perception is the way that the game feeds you lore and hints about the world around you as you travel through it. You could almost think of it as the dungeon master, providing flavor and context for almost everything you encounter. Some are triggered by interacting with certain objects, and others are triggered automatically if you just walk close enough to it. Cohh definitely seemed to be the type of player that enjoyed finding as many of these as he could to dig deeper and learn more about these stories. Although I should point out that this is not the same as the task system in Pantheon, which is more like what most people are accustomed to with quests in MMOs.
So the way quests work in the game, you've got your typical quests, your what we call basic quests, which is kind of what Cohh did at the beginning with Mazric, where you have an objective and you go and do it. But there's a deeper storyline system called the perception system that we've built, which is really less, accepting quests and completing quests the way we're mostly used to, and more about following your intuition, being guided through environmental storytelling, clues in the environment, and it's a much more subtle but immersive system, and you'll see a little bit of that at work here as we move along.
Next, Cohh interacted with the mastery system, which is one way you'll be able to upgrade your abilities in Pantheon. You acquire mastery points from questing, looting, leveling up, etc., and then you can spend them to make your abilities more powerful and in some cases more synergistic. Most abilities have 3 tiers of upgrades available, with each tier costing more mastery points than the last. Class identity and interdependency is still an important part of Pantheon, so even as you expand your arsenal and get more powerful, no one class will be able to do everything. But the mastery system allows you to choose which aspects of your class you want to emphasize while you work toward reaching your fullest potential. And as a rogue, Cohh had some new abilities with reticles that allowed for targeting the ground, such as traps, caltrops, etc., and he was even lucky enough to loot a new ability from an NPC that was a direct upgrade to one of his existing abilities.
So I just got a breastplate for a rogue. I'm going to grab this. And then a skill?
Oh, nice. You got what is it called?
Brutal Gash, I think?
Yeah, that's an upgrade to your Gash ability. Nice.
So this is going to replace it?
Yep.
Oh, look at that. Interesting. Now, how would that have been affected if I had spent mastery points on it? Would they have just transferred over?
It would transfer over, yeah.
What kind of things can upgrading a skill do?
It can, increase the potency of the skill, and also might unlock different subcomponents, sub-effects of that skill as well.
Very cool.
And just to answer a question I see in chat, yes, there will be certain abilities and skills that you will only be able to get through adventuring. You're not going to be able to buy all of them from vendors. You'll have to actually go out and find some of them, especially the more exotic, most powerful ones.
So, for instance, a character will have to travel all over the world, potentially, to fully flesh out their character.
Exactly.
Also, because Cohh was a rogue, this was a good opportunity to see some new functionality of the stealth system in-game. The rogue has multiple ways to enter stealth, which is important because their unique combat resource, Opportunity, is generated only while in stealth mode. Now, for those of you who don't know, each class has a special resource to manage during combat, with some abilities generating that resource and others consuming it. And the rogues relies on weaving in and out of the shadows. But there are also multiple ways that you can be abruptly taken out of stealth mode, such as walking too close to a light source. So, as Cohh demonstrated in this stream, the rogue really needs to be aware of light fixtures on the walls and even fellow group members carrying torches in these dark dungeons. On top of that, stealth isn't only useful in combat. This stream was also the first time that we saw the eavesdropping functionality of stealth.
Hey guys. Do you mind? We're trying to have a private Whoa, okay. What a glory it would be to join the elect. Oh, we just read about that.
So what would happen, Cohh, if you went back to those guys trying to have a private conversation in stealth?
I guess there's one way to find out, isn't there? Bonk. It's hard to believe, and it's not the first rumor to move through this place. Very cool. Certainly not the springs of truth to me. I do understand what this means, should it prove true. Far too well. I wouldn't ask you to take the risk if I wasn't nearly certain. Let's hope your intuition is wrong for once, Elias. Hey guys! No? Okay, well. No, I wasn't here before. I just got here.
In addition to perception, climbing is another system that the devs often describe as a Pantheon differentiator, or something that helps it stand out from other MMORPGs. Climbing on its own is not something completely revolutionary. You can probably imagine what I mean when I say climbing, but in my opinion, it's something that's almost always underutilized in MMOs. And so with Pantheon, what's significant is how often climbing comes into play. Almost every surface in the world is climbable, and that really affects how you think about moving around the world, and even in combat.
Interesting. Some kind of alien... Whoa, are you climbing up? Oh, look at that!
Go through the door.
Yeah. Just climb over it. I am not used to this in my MMOs.
It takes some reconditioning for sure.
In this stream, Cohh demonstrated how the endurance resource is consumed while climbing, but some gear you may find increases your endurance, allowing you to climb farther with less chance of falling. Another main differentiator is the climate system. Again, this is something that may seem fairly obvious to some, but is rarely found in MMORPGs. What I mean is that weather, temperature, and climate actually make a difference and are things that you'll need to take into account on your journeys. There are 6 types of climates in Pantheon: frigid, scorching, anaerobic, toxic, pressure, and wind shear. Each climate can manifest in small or large areas with varying degrees of severity, and depending on that tier of severity, being in a climate can cause detrimental effects such as movement speed decrease, attack speed decrease, damage over time, etc. This stream showed the toxic climate in action, which steadily dealt damage to those who stood in it. But Cohh found special glyphs that he could apply to his character's body to help reduce the effects of the climate. Pantheon creative director Chris Joppa-Perkins also revealed a new aspect of acclimation, which allows you to increase your acclimation score over time for a particular climate the longer you're in it, but that is also lost over time when you're not in that climate. The crafting and harvesting systems were also revealed for the first time ever, but only in a very basic click and combine form. According to Pantheon crafting designer David Nefel-Beach in this forum post from December 2020, quote, "Once it's fully implemented, crafting will not be a simple combine button or passive interaction. There will be some gameplay there where you as a player have to intelligently use the tools and abilities available to you to succeed," end quote. But so far, what we were able to see in-game is that Cohh could acquire a mining pick, harvest some ore from veins, and then smelt them in a furnace. Although he also looted some crafting ingredients from NPCs, including the boss at the end of the dungeon. He also demonstrated the alchemy skill, which allowed him to make toxins by combining ingredients that he had gathered, mainly just from searching in various barrels, crates, even just sitting on tables around the zone. And he then applied those toxins to his weapons to deal extra damage for a certain amount of time. The disposition system in Pantheon causes NPCs to randomly spawn with different traits and behavior patterns that shake things up, so to speak, so that even if you go back to a particular area multiple times, there may be NPCs that are acting differently than they were before. So you'll have to figure out what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how you and your group can best deal with that. There are dozens of different dispositions in the game, but each NPC has a list of which dispositions it has a chance of spawning with. And in this dungeon, Cohh found a new disposition in play that he had never seen before.
Until we get a little bit further in here.
Oh, the crystals.
So if you notice, when your torch is out, there's 2 Celis creepers. One of them just is normal. One of them says pyrophobic. It's actually afraid of fire. And this is our disposition system.
Oh.
So if you have a torch pulled out, that spider's not going to actually engage. It's just going to run away.
This guy here?
Mm-hmm.
Pyrophobic Celis creeper. Yeah, look at that. He doesn't want to go that way because there's torches over there.
Yep.
We can attack it while this is, like, cowering?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. How cool. That's what he gets for being afraid of fire. Aha!
While climates are natural obstacles that you'll encounter in Terminus, atmospheres are the supernatural obstacles. Certain NPCs or even objects in the world can generate magical areas of effect that essentially change the rules and make the player's life more difficult. Some examples of this are frenetic floors, shifting walls, intangibility, and fog of confusion, just to name a few. But instead of glyphs for acclimation, you'll instead be looking out for special artifacts to counteract these atmospheres. The devs explained this in-game with this new atmosphere.
So that is an artifact, and in Pantheon we have an item category known as artifacts that are these very, very special, unique items that will usually come with a pretty substantial, some visual goodness, but also have a very, very important gameplay impact. And the place we're about to go, you can think of artifacts as like specific answers to specific questions that the environment or the game poses. So in the next fight we're about to do, there is an effect that the boss has that is pretty deadly, but this artifact actually mitigates that specific effect and allows you to handle that much easier.
It's the levitate before the gravity crush of Khazak-Thul. I love it. I love it.
With that, you are now caught up on the highlights of this stream. If this has tickled your fancy at all and you want to watch the full stream, I'll provide a link to it in the description below. This seemed like a solid way to kick off 2021 for Pantheon, so it'll be interesting to see what else they have in store this year. But until then, stay curious and adventure on, my friends.